Hey guys, it is Sweet here, and in today's video I'm going to be discussing the primary feral build that you've pretty much seen everyone playing. Now, it's very easy to link a talent build, but unless you really understand all the interactions and how the build works, you can't really use it to its full potential. So, the goal of this build is very simple. We are trying to get as many rips going as we possibly can to proc the interaction with one Apex Predator's Craving. Your rip has a 4% chance to make your next Ferocious Bite free and deal the maximum damage. And we are combining that with Rampant Ferocity, so Ferocious Bite hits all nearby enemies affected by your rip for 25% of the damage dealt. So basically the goal here is to get as many rips up using Primal Wrath as we can. So generally we want to be playing this build in close quarters. A nice little tip that I tend to do is if I'm versing a range and a melee, I will generally always go on the range, unless it's a really easy kill target like a Windwalker, so I can get as much cleave as possible. Now this build works really strong into classes like DKs and Demo Locks that have a ton of pets, because the more rips you have going, the more Ferocious Bite procs you're getting, and we combine this with incarn. So some of the key things that we do lose in this build, and I'll explain why. We lose Carnivorous Instinct, which is 12% damage on Tiger's Fury. Really good talent, but unfortunately to get the points to get both Incarn, Circle of Life and Death, Apex, and Feral Frenzy, we had to drop something, and this is pretty much all that you can drop. Now, I get the question a lot, why Astral Influence? So Astral Influence increases the range of all of your abilities by 3 yards. You might think, why does that matter? Well, 2 reasons. It increases the range of your Primal Wrath to 17 yards, which is quite long, and it makes a big difference when you got people moving around. It just helps you hit more targets. And kick. Also, it makes your kick, what is it? 19 yards, which is like super strong. So being able to use it from that far away is like, people don't expect it. A lot of the time I land kicks because people don't like misjudge the range that I'm at, and it's really helpful. So to give you a bit of a rundown on how this works, so from stealth you're going to be using Tiger's Fury into Rake. And I get the question again a lot, why do we use Tiger's Fury from stealth when it restores 50 energy? Well, there are many moves in the game that are retroactive. So, for example, Dark Soul Misery, if you have a full set of dots up, the Warlock Haste will go back and it will boost those hots. Tiger's Fury is not one of those abilities. So if you have a full row of hots, a full row of dots, and then use Tiger's Fury, it will not affect them. It will only affect the reapplied dots. So that's why we apply it from stealth, so we get that initial rake to more or less have full Tiger's Fury damage. So what we're going to do, Tiger's Fury from stealth, we're then going to rake, and then we're going to Moonfire, Adaptive Swarm, Feral Frenzy, and then from here you're going to Primal Wrath, and then just pump out as many bites as you can before you need to reapply. Now you'll notice here that there are times where I have 4 combo points and I use them. Reason being is because wasting combo points is inefficient. So if you have 4, generally during Berserk, it is not worth going to 5 because it's an extra global. And chances are with Incarn, where we get points refunded, chances are you're going to cap anyway pretty soon after. So if you've got 4 points, you're going to spend those. Now, as you saw, my burst was like almost up to 85k there, which is massive. And another thing that I want to talk about is Astral Influence. So it does increase your auto attack range as well. Okay, so it helps you if you learn to play at this kind of maximum range, you will avoid a lot of things that you would otherwise normally get hit with. So you do have to get used to it. Now, downsides to this build. Obviously, we don't have Cyclone, and honestly, my feeling is that druid pumps out the most damage in the game right now, by far the most damage, but not all effective damage. One, a lot of that is pad damage. It's ineffective. It might be used on pets. But two, we don't bring a whole lot to the table without Cyclone. So we will succeed in games where we play with someone who can do a lot of CC. Like, so for example, we're playing with a Hunter or a Shadow Priest. We do really, really well. But then if we come into a game where we're, for example, with a Warrior who only has their Stormbolt and their Fear, then it does really seem lackluster unless you can kind of catch the healer off guard and yeah, basically knock them out real soon. So the change of build, I feel is really good. In all honesty, I didn't make this build. I was kind of against it at first, but after practicing with it and like playing it, it feels a lot better. It feels like you're always constantly doing damage, but like I said, it doesn't feel like a lot of the time you're making much impact. So I'm sorry, I haven't really been uploading any games or anything like that. And the reality is my internet has been extremely bad recently. As soon as I enter a solo shuffle, I just tend to lag. So what I'll do with you guys is I'm going to go through that rotation again. So from stealth, we are going to use Tiger's Fury Rake, and then you can also use Incarn at the same time. It's completely up to you. And don't forget that when you have Incarn, you will also get another free Prowl during stealth. Good to reapply dots, to reapply your Rake at maximum damage. So Tiger's Fury, we're going to Rake, Moonfire, Adaptive Swarm, Fell Frenzy, and then we're going to Primal Wrath and just start spamming our shreds and try and get as many bite procs as possible while also keeping Primal Wrath up. So the priority for this build is 100% to keep Primal Wrath up as much as you possibly can, even if you have to use a 3-point, if you have to use a 4-point, even a 2-point, it is better than letting it drop. Yeah. Guys, if you have any questions, please let me know. Just so you do know, I do have an updated week auras, and I get a lot of questions about my week auras, so they are in the comments below. Yeah, reach out if you've got questions. Cheers.